I'm sitting by the window this morning, watching the light come through the curtains the way it always does. Softer now. Everything seems softer when you reach 80. There's a stillness that comes with age, not the kind you fight against, but the kind you finally stop running from. For most of my life, I believed something that nearly destroyed me. A simple idea, really. One that everyone around me seemed to accept as truth. I built my entire existence around it, made every major decision with it whispering in my ear. Happiness comes from getting what you want. That was the lie. When you're young, the world tells you this in 1,000 ways. Get the degree. Find the career. Buy the house. Marry the right person. Have children. Climb higher. Earn more. Achieve something worth mentioning. I did all of it, and I was miserable. Not every day, of course. There were moments of joy scattered throughout birthdays. Promotions, vacations captured in photographs I rarely look at now. But underneath it all, there was this constant hum of dissatisfaction. This feeling that I was always one accomplishment away from finally being happy. The promotion came. I wanted the next one. The house was beautiful. But I looked at my neighbors and wondered. My children were healthy, but I worried they weren't successful enough. With the time that remains, I see it clearly now. I spent decades chasing a finish line that kept moving. And the cruelest part? I chose that race myself. I remember my 40th birthday. Everyone said it was a milestone worth celebrating. We had a party, friends, family, a cake with too many candles. People kept telling me how successful I was, how much I'd accomplished. And I stood there, smiling, nodding, feeling absolutely hollow inside. Because I'd reached so many of the goals I'd set for myself, and nothing had changed. The satisfaction I'd been promised never arrived. Instead, I just felt tired. Tired and somehow cheated, though I couldn't have told you by whom. That night, after everyone left, I sat alone in my expensive living room and wondered what was wrong with me. Why couldn't I just be happy with what I had? Why was it never enough? I didn't realize then that it was the question itself that was broken. It wasn't that I was ungrateful or damaged or constitutionally incapable of contentment. It was that I'd been taught to look for happiness in all the wrong places. Like searching for your glasses while they're sitting on your head. What remains, what endures, after you've lived long enough to see everything rise and fall, is this. Happiness was never hiding in the things I didn't have. It was sitting quietly in the moments I was too busy to notice. It was in my daughter's laugh when she was 7, dancing in the kitchen while I stressed about a work deadline. It was in the way my wife would touch my shoulder when she passed behind my chair, such a small gesture. I barely registered it for 30 years. It was in the morning coffee, the evening walks, the ordinary Tuesdays that I thought didn't matter because nothing important was happening. I missed so much while waiting for my life to finally begin. My wife used to say something that annoyed me at the time. We'd be driving somewhere, or sitting on the porch after dinner, and she'd say, "This is nice, isn't it?" And I'd grunt some acknowledgement, but inside I'd be thinking about work or money or some problem I needed to solve. I'd be somewhere else entirely, making mental lists, planning, strategizing. "You're not here," she'd say sometimes, gently, not accusing, just observing. She was right. I was never fully there. My body occupied spaces while my mind raced ahead to the next thing, the next goal, the next achievement that would supposedly make everything worthwhile. She died 3 years ago. And now I sit in the same spots we used to sit together. And I'd give anything to have been more present, to have actually been there when I was there. The cruel mathematics of life. You don't know what you have until it's gone. And by then, you can't get it back. You can only sit with the absence and finally understand what you missed. The lie doesn't announce itself with trumpets. It slips into your thinking so naturally, you don't even question it. It sounds reasonable, practical even. Of course you'll be happy when you get that thing you're working toward. Of course you need to fix what's wrong before you can enjoy what's right. Of course happiness is something you earn, not something you allow. I watch this same lie move through my children's lives. I see it now in my grandchildren, already learning to postpone joy until some future condition is met. My grandson is 12. Bright kid. Plays piano beautifully. But the other day he told me he doesn't enjoy practicing anymore because he's too focused on the competition next month. He needs to win, he said. He needs to be the best. And I saw myself in him. That same desperate grasping. That same belief that happiness lives on the other side of achievement. I wanted to tell him, the competition doesn't matter. 20 years from now, he won't remember if he won or lost. But he'll remember how the music made him feel, if he lets himself feel it. He'll remember the moments when he lost himself in the playing, when nothing else existed but the notes and his fingers on the keys. That's where joy lives, not in the trophy, in the doing itself. But I don't know if he can hear that yet. I couldn't have at his age. Some things you can only learn by living them, by making the mistakes yourself and carrying them long enough to finally understand. And I want to tell you that you don't have to wait as long as I did to see through it. There are signs. 3 of them, I think, that show when you're still living this lie. First, you use the word when more than now. When I retire. When I lose weight. When things settle down. When I have more money. When. Your happiness is always located in some imagined future that never quite arrives. I lived in when for decades. When the kids are older. When we've saved enough. When I've proven myself at work. The future was always brighter than the present, always more promising. Except when the future arrived, it just became another present that wasn't quite right, and I'd create a new when to chase. Second, you feel guilty resting. Sitting still feels like wasting time. Enjoying a moment without productivity attached to it seems irresponsible. You've forgotten that you're a human being, not a human doing. I used to pride myself on never being idle. Always busy, always productive. I thought people who could just sit and enjoy life were lazy, uncommitted. Now I see I was afraid. Afraid that if I stopped moving, stopped achieving, I have to face the emptiness I'd been running from. Third, you're surprised when happy people aren't the ones who have everything. You meet someone with less money, less success, less of what you think matters, and they're genuinely content. And it irritates you. Because it suggests you might be wrong about everything. That was me for so long. Irritated by people who had found something I couldn't buy or achieve. I remember a colleague who lived in a small apartment, drove an old car, never climbed the corporate ladder. And he was happy. Genuinely, unshakably happy. It bothered me more than I wanted to admit. Because if he could be happy with so little, what did that say about my own dissatisfaction, despite having so much? I'm not here to tell you what to do with your life. I'm too old for that kind of arrogance. But I can tell you what I know now. Sitting in this chair with the morning light coming through, with fewer days ahead than behind. The life you're living right now, this one, today, with all its imperfections and incompleteness, this is it. This is the one you get. And it contains more beauty than you're allowing yourself to see. Not because your circumstances are perfect. Mine never were. But because happiness isn't something you achieve at the end of a long struggle. It's something you permit yourself to feel in the middle of an imperfect life. It's a choice you make 100 times a day, to notice, to appreciate, to be here instead of always reaching for there. I spent 8 decades learning something embarrassingly simple. The things that make life worth living were never the things I thought I needed. They were the things I already had and failed to cherish. Time with people who knew me. Moments of quiet when nothing was demanding my attention. The feeling of being useful, even in small ways. The grace of being forgiven. The privilege of forgiving. These don't make for impressive stories at dinner parties. You can't frame them on a wall or add them to a resume. But in the end, and I promise you, there is an end. It comes faster than you think. These are the only things that feel real. Everything else fades like smoke. I don't know who needs to hear this. Maybe you're young and just starting out, already feeling that restless pull towards some distant version of happiness. Maybe you're in the middle of everything. Exhausted from trying to hold it all together while wondering why it doesn't feel like enough. Maybe you're closer to my age, looking back with regret at the moments you missed while chasing things that don't matter anymore. Wherever you are, I want you to know, it's not too late. Not to have a perfect life, that was never the point anyway, but to wake up to the one you have. To stop postponing peace until you've earned it. To let yourself be happy before you've checked every box. The light is stronger now. Morning has arrived while I've been sitting here. There's nowhere I need to be. Nothing urgent demanding my attention. Just this, the warmth of the sun, the sound of birds outside, the extraordinary gift of another day. For 80 years, I kept waiting for happiness to find me. Now I understand, it was waiting for me to stop running and finally sit still. What lie are you still carrying? What are you waiting for before you let yourself be happy? If this touched something in you, I'd be grateful if you'd share it. Not for me, I'm too old for that to matter much. But for whoever needs to hear it today. For whoever is still believing what I believed for far too long. Leave a comment if you'd like. Tell me what you're learning or what you wish someone had told you sooner. I'll be here. I've got time.